Okay, so I'm doing this video because I think it's really necessary. So many parents of autistic kids are going through this issue that I went through and with my daughter, and that is the difficulty with getting our child to have a sound, healthy sleep, uninterrupted, for a good length of time. So there are 4 areas I think that deal with this topic. One is physical pain, making sure your kid is not in physical pain they're not telling you about. 2, addressing general anxiety. 3, actual sleep aids. And 4, the sleep environment. So those are the 4 I'm going to touch on, but mostly focus on the last 2. I would also like to say that this is my experience with my daughter. And I'm not trying to diagnose anybody. I'm not a doctor. And everything I did, everything that I tried with my daughter was under the direction of a doctor's care, which is the only thing that I think is the way to go. So this is basically my story, and hopefully something will help if you're in this situation. But everybody is different. Everybody has different allergies. Everybody has different needs. And so what is going to work for my child may work for your child, may not work for your child. Your child could be allergic. It can be fantastic. I don't know. But this is why you talk to a doctor about it. And above all else, try one thing at a time, which was, you know, a good doctor's advice, her doctor's advice. And we started small. In other words, instead of a full dose of something, we start out with a quarter dose, like a quarter pill or a quarter tab for a couple days, and you move it to a half a tab, then a full tab or whatever, a full dose. And again, this is something you talk to your doctor about. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to try to ramble as little as possible. The first thing I talked about was physical pain. Now, if your child is nonverbal, this might not be easy to find out about. However, an app like Rolltop to Go, if you program it with a simple set of buttons that says, you know, I feel pain, and you list different parts of the body, that's what we did with our daughter years ago, and it really helped. She got it right away, and she was able to say, yeah, you know, my toe hurts, or my head hurts, or my stomach hurts. And that was a big deal because, like many kids in this community, she had constipation issues, and her doctor, one of her doctors, did what many doctors do, and he was just trying to help, but he prescribed a fiber supplement, and, you know, it can get stuck. Too much fiber can get stuck if you don't have enough water, and that's what happened. And she had a blockage, and she wasn't telling us, and it was a disaster, and we had to take her to a specialist. And he said, yeah, a lot of people that I see, they have the same issue, too much fiber supplementation, and it can create a blockage. The whole point of me telling you this is that amount of pain is going to interfere with sleeping. So that's something that should be eliminated as a reason. And again, Rolltop to Go, or maybe some flashcards or something, if you don't have access to the app. Something where they can point to if they have pain or indicate it. That can help. Okay, so number 2, anxiety. It's a huge issue for kids with autism, and anybody with autism. There's a lot of stress and anxiety that goes on, and I bring this up because there are supplements, they cross with helping to sleep and helping with anxiety. So I'm going to mention a couple that I think are really great. And again, some people will be able to take them and some people will not. One of the first things that we ever did with our daughter for anxiety was 5-HTP. And I really trust the Yarrow brand on this because they make sure, or whoever they get the 5-HTP from, they test it for something called Peak X. Without getting into too much detail, there was a huge issue like a few decades ago with peak X contamination of one particular band of tryptophan. This is a precursor to tryptophan. And, but they test for it. It hasn't been a problem. Regulators have approved this. It's safe, but I just feel safer with this brand. Anyway, that's Yarrow. And this is for stress reduction. And again, some people are going to be able to take this and some people can't. And my daughter takes the smallest amount of this because it really helps with stress, but too much and it has the opposite effect. It makes you freak out. So, okay, sorry about the coughing. My daughter does not take an SSRI for stress reduction. She takes Boost Bar and the generic form, and she takes a small amount, and that really helps. That's her only prescription. Everything else we supplement. But again, that is for throughout the day, and it's for stress reduction. In the mornings and the evenings, she takes, and this is specifically for sleep. She takes Suntheanine, and she takes it separately as a tablet and as part of a combination a combination formula. So for Suntheanine, this has been researched a bit, and I'll link the PubMed research that was done with ADHD boys, and it was a few hundred families, and across the board it helped them all that used it. Even the kids that their parents didn't think had sleep issues, it gave them better sleep. And I've taken this stuff, it's mild, and it really helps. So I recommend this. This is specifically for sleep. My daughter takes 2 tablets in the morning, which is 200 milligrams. And then she takes 1 tablet, and also it's in the combination that I'm going to show you, for another 200 milligrams at night. So it's a total 400 milligrams during the day, combination, you know, day and night. And it's very safe. And that's Suntheanine. Now this comes from, it's an amino acid that comes from green tea. So if you're allergic to green tea, probably don't want to, you definitely want to talk to your doctor before you do anything. I would be hesitant to use it. But I just say that because I have a friend that's allergic to green tea. So I'm surprised I didn't know people were allergic to it, but you can be allergic to anything. Okay, so now here's something I'm going to show you that so many people have heard about, but a lot of people, I believe, don't take it right. This is melatonin. Now, I give my daughter 1 milligram 90 minutes before bedtime, and I only give her 1 milligram. People I've heard will take 3 milligrams, 5 milligrams, and they just take it, and then they get upset because they take a lot and then they don't stay asleep, or the kids don't stay asleep. But that's not the purpose, I believe, of melatonin. Melatonin gets you to sleep. But if you have other issues like stress or pain, or the environment you're sleeping in isn't good, you're not going to stay asleep. So it's the job of melatonin to get you to sleep, and you don't need that much. Again, 1 milligram, 90 minutes before bedtime. Talk to your doctor about it, okay? But you can have really bad dreams if you take too much melatonin. And I can tell you from personal experience that one time, and it wasn't this brand, it was a different brand that I have since tossed out because the brand wasn't bad, but the packaging was bad because their packaging of the melatonin looked exactly like the packaging of their vitamin C, and the pills were the same size. And I took like 3 milligrams of melatonin when I thought I was taking a vitamin C. I had a really freaky dream that night. Again, not going to go into detail, but let's just say I had an interesting part of the anatomy, and it just freaked me out. So yeah, don't overdo it on the melatonin. It's a mistake. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is this. GABA Soothe. Again, Yarrow, a brand I really like. This is a combination of 3 items. It's Pharma GABA, which is a natural form of GABA. It comes from, I believe, kimchi or something similar. Suntheanine, which, same as this stuff, and sensoril, which is like a patented, optimized version of well, it's basically an herb. If I can pronounce this correctly, it's a ashwagandha extract or something very similar to that. But I got to tell you, the sensoril, again, there are studies on it, and that's the stuff in this that really, really reduces the stress. And this is the first product I got when I was looking for a stress reduction for my daughter, because as kids get older and they go from, you know, preteen to, you know, teen, I mean, the body's changing, the brain chemistry is changing, and what helped keep your child calm before may not be enough. And so a few years ago, it got to the point where it was obvious, you know, our daughter needed some help getting calm because she was just very upset and nothing was calming her down. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's try GABA. And by the way, it has since been shown, some Harvard study came out showing that the autistic brain does not have a typical GABA response. So, you know, we didn't have that information before we tried this, but, you know, I trusted the brand, and under the doctor care, we started small. So, this really worked. But, you know, I gave it to her in the morning and at night, and I got to tell you, this stuff, I don't give it to her in the morning because the sensoril, it just made her too tired. I mean, when I first started giving it to her, because, you know, you try to see how things go, and, I mean, I took her to school, and I mean, literally, you know, she sat down and like one eye was focusing this way and the other eye was looking that way. That's how tired she was. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to give her this in the morning anymore. But it's perfect for at night. And again, so I give it to her. Now, I don't give it to her if she's doing something active in the early evening, like when I take her swimming. I don't give this to her before she goes swimming, or all she's going to do is float on her back and smile. She won't be doing anything too active because that's how calming it makes her. I mean, but it doesn't make her, you know, like unresponsive or anything. It just makes her really calm. It really reduces the cortisol, I believe, you know, as far as stuff is concerned. So GABA-Soothe. But again, it's the sensoril. I know people, I have people in my social network that are in the UK, and they can't get this for whatever reason. I don't know if the Pharma GABA or the Suntheanine is regulated and you need a prescription for it, or they don't allow it in. I know you can get sensoril, and I highly recommend it. If you can't get this and you want to try it, try the sensoril. At least you can get the components separately, or at least some of them. Try it, and again, you want to try one thing at a time. And like I said, my rule is try one thing at a time. So I kind of broke my rule with this, but I finally figured it out. But again, you can get these things one at a time or separately. The Pharma GABA it's really good for stress reduction. The Suntheanine is good for sleep promotion. The sensoril, it just kind of does both. So this is a good mixture for my daughter. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. You can read reviews, talk to your doctor again. Okay, so we talked about melatonin, we've talked about the sensoril, we've talked about Suntheanine. I want to mention something about Pharma GABA because she takes it in here at night, 100 milligrams, and 1 tab in the morning, 100 milligrams. So, you know, for the suggested dose, 2 tablets total, theoretically, throughout the day. I've tried adjusting the dose of Pharma GABA, and if I don't give her the normal dose, she gets constipated. And if I give her more than the typical dose, it creates behaviors that are not positive. So again, this is the experience I've had with Pharma GABA. It's been really good. And I've also noticed this with my daughter, that if something works and then her behavior starts to change, I can't necessarily up the dose of what has worked and have that compensate. It's usually I need to try something new and add it as a complement to what she's taking overall. Like, I've never been able to go, oh, okay, well, you know, here, let's up the 5-HTP. That was a disaster. Let's up the Pharma GABA. No, that didn't work. So we're at a good place now, and it really works for her. So I think I've addressed almost all. I mean, of course, we take some vitamins, and I, as a disclaimer, I have to say, there's under a different doctor, because we go to an herbalist and an acupuncturist. I don't just, you know, get this stuff off the internet. She does take a couple of herbal formulas. One is for tranquility, one is for circulation, and those help her as well. And those are a complement. And she used to get regular acupuncture. Yes, our kids can do acupuncture, it's true. We haven't done it in a while, but we're actually going back tomorrow. So for her, acupuncture does work. It helps, it's a complement to everything else. Okay, so we've talked about pain reduction as an issue. We've talked about stress reduction as an issue. We've talked about particular supplements. Now I want to talk about sleep environment really quickly. Okay. So my daughter has sensory issues, and having a really cushy environment for where she sleeps is super important. So we don't have a padded headband, a padded headboard, but what we do have is a body pillow. This is like a Cynthia Raleigh body pillow that we got at Marshall's. I don't know. I'm sure there's many places you can get them. Any body pillow will do. This is, you know, one of those Tumblr-esque, dream big. Anyway, it's fine. It's just really big. We put it at the base of her headboard, and you know, it's there if she needs to push into it. Also, her pillow. She has a queen size bed. But we don't go with a standard size pillow. I have figured out just get the king size pillow for her and just get a new fluffy one, replace it like every 3 months or whatever it takes when it starts to squish down, which they all eventually squish down. I have to say I've had good experience at like TJ Maxx getting, you know, pretty decent quality pillows. You can get like a 2-pack of Tahari or Ralph Lauren, you know, a decent quality pillow, and you just have it and replace it when you need to. Also, so we've got the cushy body pillow, we've got the, you know, the big fluffy pillow she's on, and then to the side of her I have more fluffy pillows. So I mean, she's surrounded by cushiony stuff. So you know, she's gonna get that sensory reinforcement. If she needs to push her head into the pillow, it's there for her. I also want to mention the pillow disaster that we had. Before I just, you know, went with a typical pillow, I thought, well, you know, let's try one of those special space age foam pillows, and I'm not knocking it. Okay, but I got this kind. So they had like 2 kinds. One was, you know, has the hump at the bottom if you're a back sleeper, and then this is like, you know, it does this. It's convex if you're a side sleeper. And so I got this for her, and immediately it like made her sleep apnea worse. She was sleeping on it in a way where, and I didn't realize this at first, until I actually observed her sleep. Where she was like pushing herself up, so where instead of being on the pillow, she was pushing herself like this into the headboard, and so her, you know, the top of her head was lower than the rest of her body, and it just, it made her sleep apnea horrible. And she was falling asleep in class. So, I mean, that had never happened before. And finally I just figured out, I'm like, well, you know, I gave her this new pillow. I mean, and these aren't cheap. It's like, these are like $100 pillows. These are not cheap. And this is the second time I've done that. I mean, years ago, I tried doing a different brand of pillow, and it just didn't work out. So, be careful with the extra expensive pillows. I'm just putting it out there. That was my experience. And, you know, you know, for like a week or two, closer to 2 weeks, you know, when she was on this, before I realized she was making her sleep apnea worse, she was falling asleep in class. And so I immediately took the pillow away, replaced it with a different pillow, and guess what? She got better sleep, and she didn't fall asleep in class anymore. So, if your child has an issue with sleep apnea, you don't want to give them something that makes it worse. So that's your sleeping environment. Oh, one last thing I do also want to mention is there was a study, I think it was put out by the University of Maryland. I'll link it in the description box. And there were certain things to avoid if you had sleep apnea, one of which was bananas. Pardon me. Because that seemed to make it worse. I haven't given my daughter bananas since. I think it's helped. I don't know. Another thing that they thought would help was yoga. And they thought because the breathing would make the muscles in the throat stronger. I'm also of a particular mindset to think that if you have things that are more calming in your life, like yoga breathing, it doesn't just improve the muscles, but like I can tell my daughter, okay, deep breathe. I give her, and this one other thing I do too. I give her a nice image to think about at night. Like when, you know, she's in bed and she said prayers, and I say, okay, so think of yourself on the beach at sunset, and the water's nice and warm, the sand's nice and warm, and the water comes over your toes, and I describe the sunset, what the sky looks like, and what the water looks like, and then of course, I describe that she has a lot of penguin friends because she loves penguins, and you know, they're there giving her hugs, and her friends from school were there. So I make it this very like happy visual for her to think about, and I think that helps. So okay, so most nights, unless my daughter's getting sick or something like that, she sleeps really well. And it's because we have this success with it that I wanted to share it. So hopefully something I've said, and I apologize if I've rambled too much, but you know, there's just, I just wanted to get it done. No perfect time. It wasn't presenting itself. The lighting is not great. But I just wanted to get it done because, oh, before I forget, if you have an issue of where to get the stuff, I recommend swansonvitamins.com. They have a lot of top quality products. Like when I wanted to get pharmaceutical grade NAC, they were the ones that carried it. And like they carry Sensoril, and they ship internationally, and they have really great customer service, and they're there 7 a.m. till midnight Central Time. They used to be there till 2 a.m., but still, midnight is pretty good. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. I've lowered the brightness on the screen. So hopefully swansonvitamins.com, that's what their website looks like. This is not sponsored in any way by any company. You know, I just wanted to share my story, and hopefully it'll help. And I believe that's everything. So, I wish you guys the best, okay? And if you have any suggestions or comments or experiences that help with sleep, you know, especially with our kids, or even if, you know, say you're, you know, an elderly person, you have issues with sleep, and, you know, I'd like to know what helps you, anything. So I appreciate the input. All right, take care. Have a good day.